Why the Golden State Warriors let go of Gary Payton II? I know that's a question a lot of you Golden State Warriors fans are wondering, so we're going to be going through 5 key reasons why I think Gary Payton II left Golden State Warriors and why Golden State Warriors also didn't re-sign him. So don't forget to like this video, and if you do want more Golden State Warriors content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. Guys, 99% of you are still not subscribed, so it would mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel. But let's get into the first reason, and the first reason being Gary Payton II was demanding more money. Now, as you all know, he did get signed by Portland Trail Blazers, and the Portland Trail Blazers actually offered him a 3-year deal of $28 million. So that is a huge deal, especially for someone like Gary Payton II. You know, he has had a really good upbringing where he's come from anywhere from the G League all the way to the NBA. So he's ready to get paid, and right now, after winning an NBA championship, now is the best time, or where his market value is at its highest. So he's going to take the biggest payday possible. So not only was he getting a really big contract when it comes to $28 million, but it was a longer term deal at 3 years. When it came to the Warriors, they actually offered Payton a 2-year contract for the 6.4 taxpayer mid-level exception each season. So guys, obviously you can see the difference between the two. Not only is he getting paid substantially more, however, on top of all this, what I really do see is that Gary Payton, although he is a young player, you know, he wants to sign a contract where there's more years, and obviously he's going to take the contract that has a 3-year deal. So I do see why he decided to go with Portland Trail Blazers when it comes to the money and when it comes to security of being a player for the next 3 years, and I think that's something that is very important to him. So I really can't knock the hustle. Now, a lot of you probably are wondering, why didn't the Warriors offer him that much? And you do have to realize, guys, like we've talked about time and time again, there are huge players that are already on the Golden State Warriors roster that's taking up a lot of the salary cap. You know, Steph Curry next year is making around 40+ million. Same with Klay Thompson. And, you know, I know other players such as Andrew Wiggins and Draymond, they are hitting the 30 millions very soon. So there's a lot of players and there's a lot of luxury tax that the Golden State Warriors will have to pay. So it is going to be a bit of a struggle for them to get someone like Gary Payton II for such a cheap deal. And that's why he decided to leave and join the Portland Trail Blazers. Reason number 2 is the Golden State Warriors didn't see Gary Payton II worth that much, and that he was also replaceable. Now, I know this may come to a shock to a lot of you Warriors fans, and it came to a shock to me as well. I did hear there were some news articles that Steve Kerr and other members in the front office were actually shocked that they didn't try to re-sign Gary Payton II, and I think it did come to all Warriors fans as a surprise due to the fact that he had such a great championship season last season. But when it comes to all of this, I do think that the front office thought that Gary Payton II can be replaced, and that's why they did sign a player as Donte DiVincenzo. Now, we have done a video on Donte DiVincenzo, and I think he is a great player. He's a great two-way player as well, and you do notice that them signing him was basically a way of saying to Gary Payton that, you know, we're able to find a replacement just as good and also for a cheaper price. So that's basically what they were trying to do with that signing. I really do believe that. You know, Donte DiVincenzo, he's been known as a great three-point shooter, but also a great defender, and that pretty much is the same player comparison to Gary Payton II, and I can see why they let him go. So obviously, like we talked about before, the Warriors didn't have enough money due to the luxury tax that they had to pay, so they were looking at cheaper alternatives, and Gary Payton II had to go in order to make room for Donte DiVincenzo. So it was unfortunate, and like I said, I feel like I do think Gary Payton II is worth that $28 million 3-year deal that the Blazers actually did offer him, but maybe to the Warriors, they weren't able to change that much. Now, you do have to realize that Gary Payton II is also a second unit player for the Warriors, so I feel like they didn't really have that much priority when it came to someone signing like that over someone like, let's say, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, one of their star players. Reason number 3 is Gary Payton II wanted a starter role. Now, I think any NBA player does want a starter role, but it is very hard when you have Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson in that place. Now, obviously, Gary Payton II, he is a great player, but when it comes to him being a starter, it's very hard to get him above those other players that I just mentioned. And that's why I do think he did move to Portland Trail Blazers. You know, no offense to Portland, you know, great team, kind of, but, you know, they don't really have any superstars, okay? They have Damian Lillard, and that's pretty much it. So Gary Payton II is definitely going to be one of the main go-to guys in that team, and I think that's what Gary Payton II really does want. He wants to be, playing 30, 40 minutes a game, whatever it takes, and he wants to be one of the main guys on offense and also on defense. And I really don't knock him for that. A lot of these players, guys, when they make it into the NBA, they don't want to be riding the bench. No one does. I feel like, everyone wants to play, and I do see that Gary Payton II wanted that starter role. Now, when it came to Golden State Warriors last season, he did put up some pretty good stats. So 6.5 points, 1.2 steals, 1.3 assists, and 3.1 rebounds. So great stats. It's not really, really high, but I think the reason why he wasn't able to put up such big stats was because of the minutes restricted. So guys, actually in the regular season, his average minute time or play time was around 16 minutes. And in the playoffs, he played around 17 minutes. So, I know it did seem like Gary Payton II was a huge help, and he really was in the last championship run. However, he wasn't really getting a lot of minutes that he wanted to. Gary Payton II, with his defense, I think can really go 30 minutes easily, especially at his very young age. Now, he does stand at 6'3", 195 pounds, and he is a point guard position, but you saw with the Golden State Warriors, he really did play that 2 position, not also 3 position, and I think that's what he's going to fill in the Trailblazers as well. I do think that Gary Payton II will probably play alongside Damian Lillard in that starting lineup, so Payton will probably move into the 2 spots, the shooting guard, maybe small forward if they decide to run small ball, but that's really up to them. So I honestly do see why he decided to leave for this reason. It's very understandable, and I think, any NBA player would love to be a starter and also get paid more from it. So, no knocking out Gary Payton II's hustle. I think it's a great idea for him, and it is unfortunate that the Golden State Warriors couldn't match that due to the fact that Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson are already in those vital positions. Reason number 4 is Gary Payton II supposedly wanted to move closer to home. Now, there were a couple of articles and also friends of a friend of Gary Payton II supposedly came out saying one of the reasons why he actually left Golden State Warriors is because he wanted to be closer to home. As you all know, Gary Payton II is obviously the son of Gary Payton, who played in Seattle, and Gary Payton II actually grew up in Seattle most of his time due to the fact that his dad did play this for the Seattle Supersonics. Now, obviously, the Supersonics don't exist anymore, which is unfortunate. There is rumor that Supersonics are coming back, so hopefully that does happen. They were one of my favorite teams as well. But when it comes to all of this, I think Gary Payton II just wanted to move closer to home. You know how close Portland it actually is to Seattle. It's pretty much the closest team to Seattle out of any pretty much NBA team, and I think that's one of the reasons why he decided to move. Now, I don't think you guys really understand that these NBA players, they are traveling a lot of the time, pretty much a majority of the year. So, if they do have a chance to, be in their hometown when it comes to playing for their home team, it makes it much more easier because that's where majority of your games are. So I think Gary Payton II, he did want to move closer to home. It's really not that far of a flight from Portland all the way to Seattle compared to, the Golden State of the Bay Area all the way to Seattle as well. So there were rumors that he decided to move there due to the fact that he just wanted to be closer to home. Maybe he's got family out there. Now, he didn't really come out and say that per se, but, I did watch a couple of ESPN people talk about it, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, all these people, because it did come to a shock to a lot of people why he did leave the Golden State Warriors. And that's definitely kind of a personal reason, and I do, really do feel for him, okay? I'd love to be closer to home any chance I'd get, because guys, you got to remember, these NBA players, they are flying non-stop, so you'd obviously want to be where, hometown is for you. So completely agree with his decision when it comes to going to Trailblazers to be closer to home. Reason number 5 is the Golden State Warriors are more focused on their younger players. Now, I know this may come to a shock as all of you, because I know Gary Payton II looks young, but he's actually 29 years old, so he's pretty much almost 30, and there are younger players on the roster that I think Golden State Warriors are really focusing on. We got Kuminga, we got Moses Moody, we also got Jordan Poole, Mac McClung also got recently signed, and then we also have a bunch, Dante DiVincenzo, he's young-ish, he's around Gary Payton's age, but there's a lot of other young players, and I think in order for them to actually prosper, for them to actually play at their full potential, they'll have to let go of some of their older players, and Gary Payton II is one of those players. Now, I know it may come to a shock to you, like, what, he's only 29 years old? Yes, but there are some young guns, guys. Jordan Poole, still in his early 20s. Also, Kuminga, Moody, all very, very young players, and they still got a lot to go. So I really do think that's one of the main reasons why they decide to let them go. They already have enough, no offense, but older players when it comes to Steph, Klay, Draymond, Kevon Looney's also getting up there in age. So there's a lot of older players already for that veteran experience. And I feel like Payton II's veteran experience is not really needed at this time. So I know when Gary Payton II left, a lot of people were very, very upset. And I do agree with them, okay? I think they shouldn't have let him go. However, guys, things do happen. And I do think Golden State Warriors have done a great job in order to fill that void in signing other players such as Dante DiVincenzo, Mac McClung, all these other great players, and also make room for Kuminga and Moses Moody. So, it is a bittersweet moment. Obviously, no one wants to see some of their favorite players leave the team, but sometimes, guys, it could work out for the best, and we really do wish the best for Gary Payton II. I know a lot of you Warriors fans still will probably root for Gary Payton even when they verse Portland in the upcoming season, and I do think he is going to be playing very, very well, and it will be exciting to see him have that starting role. So yes, guys, I know you may be upset with Golden State Warriors, but I think what they're doing right now is doing the smartest decision for the long term rather than the short term as well. So definitely take that into account. I do want to say, guys, let me know down in the comments what you think. Should we have re-signed him for a bigger deal and also pay that extra luxury tax, or was it a smart idea to sign our new players that are younger and are a bit more agile and athletic? Let me know down in the comments, guys. Would love to hear what you have to say to that. I do also want to say, guys, thank you for 6,000 subscribers. I really do appreciate it. Let's keep going. Thank you again, guys, and I'll see you soon. Peace.